The Ramble on, talking media to death and diving into spoilers with Brendan.
And Nick, an autopsy for the sinners, an ascension for the saints of film and television. Marvel Tov! It's a movie!
And this is the Ramble on, and now let us dissect Spider-Man.
Welcome to the Ramble on. Let's get this out of the way. We do this every time we talk about a Marvel movie. We don't give a shit about most of the things in this movie. The story's fine. The actors did a fine job. The effects are fine. The themes, come on. Let's get that out of the way and just talk about our moments in the movie, because what are we going to say that's going to be different from any other Marvel movie? This one has Spider-Man!
Yeah. No, I mean, come on. Whatever was said, everything was already said in the American Recut.
But, you know what, let me go through my usual list of issues with these Marvel movies. The action is meaningless, and that holds true with this one as well. You can basically cut all the action scenes and they don't impact the actual story at all.
Oh yeah, a 2-hour movie could easily be cut down to a minute 10. An hour 10.
As usual, for the Marvel sequels, a lot of the side characters who had their moments of being fun in the first movie got really flanderized and became kind of just one-liner delivery people for the most part. Unlike with some other Marvel movies, this movie felt really claustrophobic because no other heroes really appear to help out Peter. It's just Peter.
Oh yeah.
Alright, and then this is going to be where I start getting away from the usual Marvel points, which I think that this time, where in the first Spider-Man movie that we had earlier, not the animated one, the first one we had, which was Homecoming, this villain wasn't as sympathetic or interesting as his first villain. Yeah, so Mysterio, let's get the spoilers out of the way. Yeah, there's going to be spoilers. It's exactly what you guessed when you looked at the trailer.
Yeah.
Sure enough, Mysterio, based on his comics, is indeed all about illusions. He is faking being a hero. It's this really weak plot about, being disgruntled former employees of Tony Stark.
Yeah, of Stark Industries, and they hijacked some of his tech.
I guess part of the twist is that it's not just Mysterio. He has this whole team of Hollywood extras working for him. He's got a costume department, he's got the script department, he's got the effects department. This is a movie where I'm very tempted to say it's one of those Hollywood movies about life in Hollywood. It's not, because it takes place in Europe and it's a superhero movie, but It feels like one of those really meta movies where they get to complain and whine about how it is in Hollywood.
That's a good point. Oh my god, Hollywood workers that can't unionize and instead become villains.
Oh no, Hollywood is very union heavy.
Well, not Stark Industries, because
Stark Industries is not.
Which leads to this gaggle of goofballs
yeah, it's one of those movies where we have kind of a team of people making the illusions, but
Jake
Gyllenhaal's the only one that gets his face used for everything.
Right.
This plot line would work if it got more room to breathe, but the movie doesn't want to dwell on this plot line or generally the superhero part of the superhero film. It wants to concern itself more with Spider-Man and his life and what's going on with him emotionally, his choices. But part of the issue with that is that he's still a teenager, it's still coming of age. We're retreading the same ground that we did in the first Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, no, and as well as some of the others, because it's been done before. We've seen it hundreds of times, and it's
this particular one we haven't seen hundreds of times. Usually with the Spider-Man trilogies, we get the origin story, and then it gets shut down. We get an origin story, and then it gets flops. This time we skip the origin story, and we go straight to, am I ready to be a real superhero? And we've done that twice now, we never got a good answer either time.
No, we have not. That did leave us hating, even after...
Tons.
No, so you mentioned there was a cynical tone in this movie. Would you kind of elaborate on that?
There's kind of this line of cynicism in this whole movie that is present and constantly there that I can't really give good evidence of, but it feels like the whole movie is very cynical about things. The movie feels cynical about the superhero industry. It feels cynical about Spider-Man's role as a superhero. Jake Gyllenhaal's character is all about being cynical and motivated by cynicism. There's this very kind of self hating feeling to this movie, a little bit like the Lego Movie Part 2.
Yeah.
It felt a little bit like that, where people on this movie didn't want to work on this movie.
No.
There was that feeling that kind of came out of this movie. I can't put it into words or really give you evidence of it, but that's the feeling I got from this movie.
I got that same feeling too. No, I mean, we're just all running out of steam with superhero movies. I mean, and it's just the drive isn't there. The enthusiasm is just dwindling down quite a lot, especially after Endgame.
Well, okay, there's one scene where that doesn't feel true, and that's the scene with Mysterio and Spider-Man, their first confrontation, where Spider-Man goes to tell Nick Fury, hey, this Mysterio guy is playing you all for fools. But then, we get this really cool effects extravaganza where we see, these custom-generated scenarios. We see, this constantly shifting location that Spider-Man is in. We see basically the extent of Mysterio's powers and how effective he can be as a villain. And it is so cool.
It is.
It's the thing that everybody wants out of Mysterio, and we finally got that from one scene in this movie. And that's a very fun scene.
It is. No, I will agree. Mysterio is one of those low-key note villains that doesn't get a whole lot of limelight, mainly because
you can't do that in a comic book. You can't show that.
No, you can't. But this movie did a competent job of showcasing
how intimidating he could be for a scene. And then after that, we got the usual it's an illusion. I understand how to dispel it now. And then nothing is interesting anymore.
No. Once you look up the magician's sleeve.
It reminds me a lot of with the Arkham Asylum games, the parts with Scarecrow. Where you get to have the really fun Scarecrow scenes of the game screwing with you, the movie screwing with you. It's a lot of fun.
It is. Oh yeah, very much so, definitely. This kind of felt like that. That is a good comparison, by the way.
That's my glowing moment of the movie, though, is that one scene. Everything else, Marvel movie.
Yeah, no, and then the industry kicks back into gear.
I think that there's one movie that followed that still is Marvel movie territory, but it feels sincere, which is right after that when Peter is he's wandering around the Netherlands, he's scared, he's lost, he looks badly injured, and he just looks like the very scared teenage boy that got lost that he is.
Yeah. Well, he's still 16, so he's still, for all intents and purposes, still a kid.
Just a kid?
Yeah.
I think that was the big scene I wanted to talk about, because otherwise, this movie follows the beats.
Yeah, no, it's the same rhythm, it's the same formula, there's not really a whole lot to say about this movie. I mean, of the current competition right now, it's pretty entertaining, other movies came out and they were a shrug.
Sure, well, no, it has competition in Midsommar. It's going to have competition in
this week.
King.
Oh my god.
No, it came out last week with Midsommar.
Oh, you're right. Okay, yeah, you're absolutely right.
We are recording this a week after the release, by the way.
Yeah, mainly because we really wanted to see Midsommar.
I still highly recommend that over this film, but if you're going to see both, go for it. This one is harmless.
I'm of the different opinion, you've seen enough Spider-Man movies to the point where, yeah.
Oh, that's another thing. Thank you for reminding me.
Oh, yeah? What did I remind you?
So, two things. First off, I like the opening of this movie, which is where it begins with, this very kind of early 2000s YouTube AMV style thing for, the montage for the heroes.
Oh, yeah!
And I will always love you. And, I love it. I love the scene. Some editor really poured his heart into making that as much like a 12-year-old kid's embarrassing 90s narrative montage as they possibly could. I loved it.
I enjoyed that, too.
You have this, what looks to be, 180p picture of Vision. You've got this, really cheesy, a birds flying in the background behind Tony Stark. It's wonderful. I was the only person in the theater laughing at that scene, and I could not understand for the life of me why, because it was hilarious. I think people were thinking oh, this is actually a montage of the heroes. They're not going to use this garbage quality picture of Vision for this. Come on.
No, it's just this Junior Scholastic
news
thing.
It's supposed to be funny.
It is. No, that's totally Robert Downey Jr. humor right there, just to kind of make his dead character.
Which this goes back to the line of cynicism thing as well, is that this is the only send-off we get for Tony Stark's character. Is this really cheesy, like, very kiddie style YouTube montage.
Yeah.
Death for him. And that's kind of like line of cynicism where, like, you get this feeling that the people that made this movie were like, don't take this seriously. Who cares if the superhero man died on the screen?
Right.
Kids care if he died.
It's a comic book. It's a movie character. I'm sorry, but
the other thing I wanted to go into, this is where I was coming from with the Spider-Man thing you were talking about, is did this feel like a sequel to Homecoming or like a sequel to Spider-Verse? This felt with some of the scenes and the way that some of these things lay out, especially kind of the big show stealer scene with Mysterio and Spider-Man. This felt more like an homage, at least to me, to Spider-Verse than it did to Homecoming.
No, yeah, you're right. It's not by no means a sequel to Homecoming, which I prefer more of.
Vastly. I prefer it vastly.
Yeah. No, this was definitely, if anything else, a sequel to the whole Spider-Verse and also just Endgame. Like,
It
what happened?
at least felt inspired by Spider-Verse. Like, I think they were really interested in that and liked the way that they could play with multiple ways of telling a story with multiple art forms. And those are where this movie shines, or those moments where they can play with different genres and things that are outside of the usual scope of Marvel movies.
Right. Well, and okay, so if I may kind of...
Yeah.
In one scene, they kind of... Mysterio introduces himself as a man who comes from another universe, which, in my mind, I kind of dreaded and also kind of got excited for, because in some ways, ooh, multiple Spider-Verses, that could be fun. I mean, it's already been done.
I was thinking that too. Like that ties back into, oh, this is Spideyverse stuff. Okay, sure, I am all for that. Let's tie that back into that movie. That was a good movie.
Right. But, I also kind of dreaded that, because that also opens the door to all kinds of assembly line Marvel movies like these. But
I mean that was again part of that cynicism undercurrent was, yeah, we get this script that was like absolutely ludicrous and stupid, but these people buy it. They love this shit.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like you could feel them breaking the fourth wall there. Like, oh, you were trying not to fool us. Oh God, you were trying to fool us with that garbage.
No, right. In some ways, what I found when I found out that was a hoax, there was a sigh of relief and also like, you bastards.
I think that you bastards part, because I was like, it's Mysterio. What were you expecting?
I know. I don't know him.
He was never going to be a good guy.
No, he was not. He's a villain. To anyone who hasn't read the comic books or watched the original
or has not
animated
heard
series.
of a Spider-Man.
Yeah, no joke.
The
Sinister Six, for crying out loud. He's a recurring character in the Sinister Six, Spider-Man's leading villain force. Which I'm kind of disappointed that, Mysterio died, because I was kind of hopeful for a Sinister Six kind of showcase.
Speaking of his death, yet again, you've got me going again. Speaking of his death, was it weird that Spider-Man didn't even mourn him? That he wasn't even a little bit fazed by this man dying in front of him?
I was pretty upset about that, because a lot of heroes kind of show some relative sympathy to their dead villains. I mean, for God's sakes, Peter poured his heart out to Mysterio, so you'd think he'd be a little more...
Like, this is not only that, but the fact that Peter is a very inexperienced rookie here on top of that. Like, he's seen combat, but he's never had to kill someone himself.
Right!
But he killed him, and he didn't even blink. Like, we've seen other heroes who at least were like, oh, I can't believe I killed him. I'm such a bad person.
Right. Well, okay. Also, Peter did kill a whole lot of other people in the Endgame movie, but I mean...
he didn't kill anyone, though. He was mostly just carrying the gauntlet around.
Well, didn't he activate, kill mode? Activate kill mode, and then a whole bunch of tendrils come out and stab people.
Something like that, yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm digressing.
It's Endgame.
It is.
I had something else in mind, but I can't think of what it was.
Well, let's keep rambling until we get right to that. Well, okay.
I think we're out of Ramble to do.
Well, it's not so much we've run out of Ramble, we ran out of material for the Ramble. Like, what else is there to really say about this movie other than, some scenes were pretty solid, but all the same, meh.
Yeah, Okay, I guess we can't get into the final summary, unless you have anything you particularly want to talk about.
I do want to talk about the ending credits. Those were pretty entertaining. How it's just scrapbook montage of pencil drawing comics.
I think it was cute. It was fun the first time we saw it with the Marvel movies, but they've done that a good 6 times now.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy that kind of.
I enjoy it.
Yeah,
I like it. But at the same time, we saw that with Homecoming. We saw that with Spideyverse. We saw that with Thor Ragnarok. We saw that with.
Wait, was that
Guardians of the Galaxy?
Ragnarok?
We saw that with Guardians of the Galaxy 2. We keep on seeing that done over and over and over.
Why was that in Thor Ragnarok?
I'm not sure if it actually was, honestly. I did figure out the credits. But it feels like it should have been, right?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, that would just feel so out of place. Anyway, I got nothing else to say about this movie other than, like, hey, if you want to see it, I ain't gonna stab you, but really, it's like every other Spider-Man movie you've seen. I don't know. What's your opinion?
Well, it's not as bad as the Garfield movies.
It's not as bad as the Garfield movies.
James Garfield?
Oh, yeah. No. These, yeah, good point. It's not as bad as the Garfield movies with Jamie Foxx trying to shock Spider-Man for dumb reasons.
You know what moment this movie is missing?
What?
The classic moment that you think of in every Spider-Man movie.
Come with me, Spider-Man! We could rule this city together!
Oh my god, you're right! There was no sinister dialogue of join me and we could rule all of New York or Europe.
I was really expecting that from Mysterio, for Jay Gyllenhaal's character, because he's the character who's motivated by he's a frustrated little man syndrome. He thinks that the smartest man in the room should have the most power. He respects Peter's intelligence. He respects Peter's heart. He believes that Peter's genuinely a good kid. I'm surprised that we didn't get at least a moment where he tried to recruit him for a new company he was founding, try to give him an internship just like Tony Stark would have, try and be kind of like creepy Tony Stark replacement. Something like that. Nothing. We got nothing like that.
I'm not surprised that we did. Mainly because, Mysterio, after hanging out with Spider-Man and, having a heart-to-heart with him, 2 or 3 times, yeah, okay, this kid is, always on the fence, he's pretty awkward, there's no way I can... And he's pretty loyal to Stark, so there's no way I could get him to my side.
Well, no, you're feeling in for him, because I think that if we want to do that one, I think that he absolutely is somebody who respected Peter Parker. Multiple times he expresses disappointment that he couldn't spare Peter. He wants Peter to get out of this game, become a professional, maybe become a scientist. And I can't imagine that he wouldn't at least try to become the Tony Stark that he wanted to be and try and give Peter this internship with the company.
But he's also a greedy villain. I don't know.
There's plenty of greedy villains who would do that. I mean, come on. Think about the first Tobey Maguire one, where he has a classic moment of
join me, Spider-Man, and together we can rule this city.
I think we needed that moment though, because that would help to tie in the story elements with the action elements. At least that moment where Spider-Man has to kind of be conflicted about taking down his mentor again.
That's true. That's okay. I'll give you that. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's take a moment to... Is there anything else you want to add to this movie that would have maybe improved the movie-going experience?
Change the entire setting.
Okay, so why?
The European vacation, while it's fun, and causes a lot of the problems I have with flannerizing the characters, because a lot of the characters in this movie end up becoming one-noters or one-liners because they're in Europe and have to deal with hi, here's the beautiful scenery setting. How do we get the kids from one place to the next? How do we make sure that Peter's in the right place? All this stuff happens because they're in Europe. Nobody in the main cast is European.
I agree.
There's no reason for them to be in Europe aside from cool location shots.
Right. Or
appealing to the European demographic that never goes to see their movies.
Right. Burn.
Oh no, I mean it's just that Disney's figured out China. They figured out the Americans, but they haven't figured out how to reach Europeans. And this is their first attempt. Just put the movie in Europe. Those cheese-eating freaks love that place.
Oof. Yeah, nothing will encourage Europeans to see a Marvel movie with monsters smashing half of their towns.
Surely we can beat Midsommar in the European box office with this one.
Oh my god. Big oof.
Join me, Europe, and together we can conquer the box office.
Let's see if that'll work. Probably not. Oh.
It's their first attempt, though. I think that this is really their attempt to capture the European market that has eluded them.
No.
That's probably why it takes place in Europe, because otherwise, there's not much reason for the European trip in this movie in general.
No.
I guess it's to get him away from school and away from home so he can have a story like that, but there's so many different ways you could have done this.
Right,
Like,
no.
if we wanted to be classy about, like, the homage to Iron Man, open up the same way you did, and then have it be revealed that with the death of Tony Stark and the company's changing hands, his internship has ended. He doesn't have that anymore, even for his credits, and he's offered a new internship with a new startup. And simultaneously, he's being approached to help out with this Mysterion problem. Worlds collide, and he has to discover, like, oh, my mentor is Mysterion. Oh no, I have to lose another mentor.
Yeah, that kind of... You know what? I agree. The whole Europe setting was pretty abysmal. I agree.
I don't think it was abysmal. It has its moments, but
Far
not
and
enough.
few in between.
Not
yeah.
enough.
The only thing I would have changed, like, so you were mentioning earlier how the side characters were one-liners. Like, I mean, a lot of them had cute little romantic moments, but it was just that little thing just kept getting hammered down to the point of exhaustion. So,
I mean,
like,
there's that one guy, Josh, who his whole thing is just like, I'm going to catch you in the act of being a jerk, Spider-Man. And then...
Oh, Flash, the whole Instagram kid or something.
No, not him. The one who catches him in the bathroom with what's her face with his pants down. While
Oh, right. The kid who also has a crush on MJ or what have you.
Yeah, guess how much he mattered in the movie.
Oh, not even remotely. Why was he even a thing?
I think he was just there to fill time. Like, he didn't matter.
No, not even remotely.
And they picked the worst name for the Snap 2.
Wait, what was the name of it?
They call it the Blip, remember?
Oh, yeah. That was dumb.
That's dumb.
So dumb.
It's really dumb.
Uh,
Why would you call it the Blip?
it seems like, mass genocide / resurrection.
Does it imply that they're covering up what Thanos did?
Covering up?
Like, they don't want to reveal that was caused by him snapping his fingers?
Ooh. Well, hang on. How much of the world is privy? Who would cover it up? Nick Fury? Like...
Probably all members of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the government so that they don't cause, like, worship of Thanos.
Ooh, you know what? That's a good point. Which, as we said in Endgame, a Thanos cult would be pretty cool.
But the Blip is a dumb name.
Oh, totally stupid. It totally denotes the seriousness, if not morbid tone.
I mean, that's what they do with the opening of this movie, too, is making fun of that morbid tone of Endgame. Like, this really cheesy-ass...
Childish, like you said, that was, yeah.
That's
exactly what it is, it's childish.
It's great. I wanted more of that making fun of Endgame from this movie, but obviously they're not going to because they want to fetishize it instead.
Right. No, if they... had more fun with it, like, didn't take itself too seriously and just kind of had fun with it, and maybe with a few more fourth wall breaks that weren't as cynical, then then it would have been a little more entertaining.
Alright, well, I think I am actually out of steam for talking about things with this movie. You got anything else?
No, I got nothing, so, hey, if you like it, go see it.
Final summary, you got the floor first.
No, that's all I had to say. Go for it.
Alright, this movie does some fun things. It has its scenes. It has its moments where it's worth the price of the ticket. But it's generally another Marvel movie. There's not much to go off of for themes. The story is pretty lackluster. Characters are weaker than in Homecoming. It's fine if you pay the ticket. There's a few scenes that make it worth it. But you're going to get the same Big Mac you'll always get.
Yeah, just meh. Just meh. That's my whole input.
Well, speaking of meh, who's excited for Lion King?
Okay, let me answer.
It's a whole week at Disney.
Instead of a meh, I'm gonna answer with just a groan, like, I don't want to watch CGI lions.
I'll go in here with a neutral attitude, because maybe they'll do something mind-bogglingly amazing. They're not going to, because it's Disney, but maybe.
Maybe.
Alright, well, thanks for joining us.
This has been Brendan.
This has been Nick. Au revoir. I think that's how you say it in Italian.